All right. Hey, everyone, and thanks for the introduction. My name is Mark Moschetto. So I'm the founder and CEO of Kickmotor LLC, but I've been in the technology and cloud-based space for, wow, like it says 25 plus years there. It's actually closer to 30. So a lot of that time has been spent in leadership and go-to-market roles with multiple organizations in the payroll and the HCM provider space. And I have been very pleased to be working with the folks at Greenshades since 2019. And we're excited to bring this topic to you today. It's a very timely one. Katie, on to you.
Thanks, Mark. My name is Katie McGinnis. I'm a senior product manager here at Greenshades, overseeing our HR suite of our product platform. I've been with Greenshades since 2019 now. And as I mentioned, I support the HR side, so benefits, all of our services going and gearing toward our employees is everything that is in my wheelhouse.
Awesome. Good stuff. Okay, so we're going to move on to, I know we've got a brisk schedule today. We're going to try and keep this to right around 30 minutes or so. So let's break down what we'll cover during that time. So first of all, absolutely stating the obvious, things have changed so dramatically for our employers and for those of us in the HR and payroll space. So first, we're going to start looking at what are some of the factors that drove that? Why are some of those changes appearing? Then we're going to talk about how do those changes actually impact the world of work? So what do employers need and how the right payroll platform and provider actually maps to those needs? And then we're going to talk a little more specifically about how Greenshades is a platform in conjunction with our marketplace partners can really help to close those gaps and make things work out. So if we have time at the end, we'll get into questions and answers. And if there's any questions that come in that we don't have time to tackle before the end of the webinar, we'll make sure we put up in a blog post or something to that effect. Okay? All right, so onward. Let's take a look at the state of the American worker. And I think that if we are going to be able to sum this up in a single word, it would be stressed. So, man, you can't read the newspaper, click on the news, surf Twitter without seeing something about the economy, and it almost always feels like bad news, right? So, inflation, most recent numbers has increased by 8.2%. So just we're feeling that pinch everywhere across the board, right? And that's kind of a news headline. But when we think about what that means for our workers, real wages, the buying power that your dollars, that your earnings have adjusted for inflation has dropped by 3% over the past 12 months alone. So, if there is, if you're giving someone a 5% raise, which is generous, right? But that annual increase is 8.2% on inflation, that buying power really hurts, right? It's almost entirely wiped out. As a mitigating factor, the federal bank has been hiking rates several times, and it's not really having a huge impact. So what we're hearing is that the feds are likely to raise rates again, probably when they meet in December. So lots of interesting challenges, lots of painful challenges are bumping into our workers, and we're all feeling them as businesses as well. So let's go one click below the headlines and let's take a look at real world impact. So we mentioned a minute ago that purchasing power is getting less. It's getting diluted by this inflation, right? Housing, gas, food, across the board. It's a challenge, right? And in order for people to make ends meet, typically you look at taking out loans, you put things on credit cards. You might need to take out a loan for a car to get a new vehicle. Any number of things can pop up where you'd need to do a loan, and the vast majority of those loans are tied to the federal interest rates, right? So interest rate creeps up, the amount of money that you have to spend on those loans or the cost of borrowing that money goes up as well. And when you look at this statistic from the Lending Club, 64% of American workers are reporting that they're living paycheck to paycheck. So, I mean, think about, we always have these little curveballs, these little unanticipated spending items that pop up. And those sorts of things can really dent a budget and have a tougher impact now than it was even a year ago. And that could be feeding into our last bullet here. 87% of American workers indicate that they're anxious or very anxious about inflation. That came from the American Psychiatric Association. So, you look at how all of this is kind of rolling up. Generationally low purchasing power. It's more expensive to borrow money. People are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're getting stressed out. It's a recipe for disengagement. It's a recipe for frustration. And we're seeing those numbers bear out in other aspects of the workplace as well, right? So let's kind of break this down. Let's add this up. Let's see what this really means for all workers. So first and foremost, flawless payroll processing, right? You think about the hallmarks of what it means to have that commitment to your employees. Accurate paycheck, make sure it's timely, make sure it's complete. If there are any errors that pop up, addressing it really quickly and right away is more critical than ever, right? And if you look at not just the economic headwinds that we've talked about, but if you look at things that have popped up post-pandemic, right? It's kind of shifted the landscape. It's a combination of things like work from home and reprioritizing what's really important in that work-life balance discussion. All of those types of things are coming together to create the environment where conventional benefits are important, right? Your PTO policies and your healthcare and insurances and things like that, absolutely all critical. But in order to really attract, retain, and importantly engage those employees, you really have to start thinking out of the box. You have to be a little more creative about things. And that's really what the balance of the webinar is all about, is kind of understanding what those changes are, what those demands are, and how you can stay ahead of it. So we're moving into the section on slide 9. Katie, I don't know if everyone is seeing a little bit of a lag with the slides as we change. I apologize for that if you are, but we are on slide 9. And I think, Katie, we're on to you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what that means for your employees. As Mark said, we have to get a little creative now to, as he said, attract, retain, and engage our employees. So what does that mean? What are the employees expecting kind of as we get into this new era? First and foremost is going to be greater flexibility. So this post-pandemic world, a lot of industries experienced remote working, maybe for the first time. And now we're kind of moving out of that. Employees are still expecting some flexibility within their work-life balance. So whether that is full remote, partial remote, shift work, coming in an hour early, an hour later, just some opportunity to have that work-life balance that they have started to become accustomed to. And, going into the second point, that empathy from their organization, that they do have things outside of work that they need to balance and manage, and that they're looking for that support within their organization. Other ways that they're looking for support, kind of as Mark had mentioned, financially, a lot of these employees are living paycheck to paycheck, or their dollars just not going as far anymore. So having some opportunities to have a fallback based on their organization providing them a financial fallback, providing them opportunities to get towards that independence that they're looking for financially, that is looks to be a little bit more out of reach today than it normally is a huge benefit for employees in today's workforce. Our fourth point is opportunities to learn and grow. So getting toward that financial independence sometimes includes getting new certifications or licensure, and having our organization provide that type of training at their fingertips is a huge benefit for them as they're looking to continue their career path. And then lastly, we understand that our back-end offices, our management staff, they're all employees too, and so we want to be able to support them, especially when they have a lot of mundane red tape tasks that can kind of bog down their day-to-day, and keep them kind of at their desk instead of maybe with their employees, supporting them, helping them grow, helping them continue their careers. So being able to kind of automate those flows and then get rid of that administrative red tape as a huge benefit to that employee base. So how does Greenshades support that, right? That's why we're here. So Greenshades is a cloud-based platform, meaning that your employees can access their portal at any time, 24/7, to be able to kind of one-stop shop for all of their HR needs. So anything from looking at their paychecks on the web, or accessing them via their mobile devices, looking through their benefits, having everything at their fingertips instead of having to reach out to a person and have that lag time is really beneficial for them. Secondly, as we talk about empathy and support, having an organization, we provide organizations with partnership opportunities through a lot of the partners that we have to provide those fallback options, provide some of that financial stability or options for employees to enroll into to get them to a point of financial stability. And if they're not there yet, having opportunities to have a safeguard when things unexpected do come up. When it comes to opportunities to learn and grow, we have access to so many training materials, both through our own platform and partners that we are partnered with, to be able to provide opportunities for those employees to get the knowledge and the training that they're looking for. And then all of our software is automated, and we can really automate a lot of the workflows that are some of those mundane tasks for your administrative and management staff so that they can get back to their employee base. So we're kind of going to walk through each of those steps now.
Awesome. That's great insight, Katie. Thank you. So let's look, right? Let's take a look at specifically how Greenshades and our marketplace partners support hitting all of those goals that we just mapped out. And we're going to go through the remainder of the slides kind of in the sequence that we mapped out that list, or that Katie just covered with you. So the first thing that we talked about is embracing new working models, right? So we've got individuals that work from home. We've got hybrid work environments. We've got people that still have to go into a traditional office. And as an employer, you need to be able to support all of those different work modalities, right? You need to be able to support all of those employees on a level field. So a big part of that is having really simple, really easy to use, really easy to navigate applications and platforms that can be accessed from a mobile device or a desktop. But the point is that you're able to bring this functionality and these capabilities to people wherever they are, wherever they find themselves, deskless or in the office. One of the ways this ties into something like even, we talked about empathy was a big piece of it, is that those self-service features allow their employees to do a lot of the typical things that from an HR or payroll standpoint, you might be burdened with, like the onboarding and benefit selections and life events and all that sort of stuff. They can do now on their own time and not take up your time with it. And where this ties into empathy is, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when I start a new job and when I'm picking out benefits, or even during open enrollment season, as we're in the thick of it right now, being able to sit down, have that literal kitchen table conversation with my wife and kind of go through, all right, what's the best option for us? Do we want to do a flexible spending account? If so, how much do we fund it? Like, those are family impacting discussions, and giving the employees an opportunity to sit down and do that on the home front, even if they are traditional, still going into the office or on the work site, that's a really powerful thing to do, right? Now, for those organizations that have more robust time and attendance needs, or need to record like time and location or time and task data, Greenshades offers a simple kind of online clock to do that. But then also through our partner Lifiting, and if you haven't caught it, we just recently did a webinar with them a couple of weeks ago. We really go deep tracks into the time and attendance world. They offer a whole series of physical clocks, physical data capture devices, as well as mobile devices that allow you to do things at a more granular level, that allow you to do things like mitigating buddy punching and things like that on locations. So whether you are ready to use something just kind of simple out of the box that's bundled with the Greenshades platform, or you need something more robust, we absolutely have you covered in either case. And Katie, we're going to talk about financial independence a little bit now, right?
Yeah, let's talk about financial independence. So, kind of the theme of what we've been discussing has been, hey, how can we, as an organization, provide our employees with benefits that are kind of above and beyond the traditional, health, dental, vision, right? And as employees are getting into, this new world and some of the financial havoc that's being wreaked on their budgets, employees might be needing to face, a tough decision of, do I pay rent this week, or do I take my dog to the vet to get the surgery that he needs? And those are life-changing decisions and things that we really never want to have to put our employees into those situations for. So being able to provide a safeguard or just a fallback option, so that those decisions don't have to be made, is a huge benefit for the employees today. So providing, something that can be done through, are their payroll offering something that their employer is providing them as a very quick and easy solution for the organization, but could be a life-altering decision for the employee. So we partner with a company called Patient that provides your employees 0% to you, no money down for your organization, but provides them a card that they can use should a life-altering medical expense come up that is going to kind of wreak havoc on if they are paying or are living kind of day-to-day, paycheck to paycheck. They're able to take that expense and put it on this card, and then plan that expense out to be taken out as a deduction on their paychecks moving forward. So instead of having it wreak havoc on their financial well-being at one time, they can really plan for it. It can become a little bit less of a burden for them at that moment, so that they're not having to make those really tough decisions with their financial stability.
Keeping in that financial theme, right? Another big part of it is financial independence. It's something that if you're allowed to get a nest egg going, if you're allowed to prepare a little bit for some of these curveballs that the economy throws at us, it makes times like this a lot easier to deal with. And there's a couple of different ways that we can approach this, both as Greenshades as well as through our partners. So one is, for example, older workers, and I can say the word older because I fit into this category now. But workers that are 50 and up, there's been new accommodations made where they can do larger than traditional payments or contributions to their retirement plans. And this is a really good thing, right? Stock markets, kind of get a little twitchy, and if the stocks go down, it might be a decent buying opportunity, right? So for individuals that are my age and older, that are getting ready and maybe looking forward to a retirement someday, this is a really nice benefit. And this is something that, again, through all of the workflows and automations and the compliancy components that Greenshades just takes care of right out of the box, we can help to ensure that your employees have access to that capability if they qualify. Another piece that you've probably heard a lot about out there is these new banking options and new ways for employees to access their pay. We team up with an organization called Branch that actually delivers quite a few interesting capabilities and non-traditional benefits, for lack of a better term, in that area. So there are workers who may not have formal banking accounts established. So for those individuals, they offer digital banking services. So you don't necessarily need to have a traditional brick and mortar bank now to have your pay go directly into it. Part of that is like instant ACH transfers, right? So you're no longer issuing paper checks. And again, for those individuals who may not have an established banking account, that gives them access to funds faster. And a big benefit of that is, if they're able to access their funds faster, or Branch also offers things like on-demand pay and digital payouts, it means that you're helping your employees to avoid the need to borrow, right? Think about that stat that we had at the top of the webinar around the number of individuals that are kind of living paycheck to paycheck. Katie covered a lot of great content around the healthcare side, but things not of a healthcare nature can come up and force you to kind of dig into your pocket in ways that you wouldn't expect before. if you can help employees to avoid the need to borrow, again, the loans are more expensive now, and sometimes, you know, depending on the location or the type of job, there might be other, you know, types of loans that help people between paychecks that, you know, even in the best of times are somewhat, you know, just not advantageous to the person borrowing the money. So again, capabilities that we deliver through Greenshades, as well as those that we offer by teaming up through Branch or through our partner Branch, can really help to mitigate some of these headaches and heartaches that your employees might be going through on a regular basis. Yeah, and another big part of that is helping them to level up their career, right, Katie? So let's talk a little bit about learning and adding new skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mark. So one of the main points that we had mentioned previously about what employees are looking for in today's marketplace from their employers is the ability for them to grow. So they want to get to that financial independence, and there's so many different ways that you as an organization can support them financially and through some of those healthcare benefits. However, at some point they want to be able to grow within their career, maybe get promoted, just continue moving forward and get to that financial independence. And so they're looking for things like training and getting new licenses and things that will excel them to get to that next level, and having an organization that can provide that both through training material, documentation, direct access to their managers, and not need to lean on kind of administrative staff. And sometimes that lag that can come between that is really what gets them to the point of growth. So when their managers are able to spend less time on some of those administrative duties, you know, some looking at all the timesheets, approving timesheets, things that kind of bog down their day-to-day, so they can't be directly in front of their employees, training, teaching, getting them in front of clients and things of that nature. You know, the employees are end up trying to train themselves. So what we do as a platform is we automate a lot of those processes for timesheet approvals, evaluations, things like that, that can sometimes bog down our management and administrative staff, to get those managers with their employees directly training, again, in front of clients, in front of whoever, you know, whoever can teach them to excel at their job. And when there's not necessarily the path of a manager training, there is online training. So we partner with the best in the business, Learn Upon, an LMS system that is accessible through our Greenshades product, and will provide employees with best of class training, opportunities to earn certifications and things of that nature that can excel them in their careers. And then lastly, last point we had touched on is kind of that automation. So I mentioned it a little bit within the training feature. However, in general, like, we understand that administrative management, like, everyone is an employee, they're all looking for happiness within their job. They're all looking for, you know, long-term success, and having a organization that understands that and provides software that will automate a lot of the mundane everyday processes that bog them down from, you know, quote unquote, getting to do their job, is so beneficial in today's world. So Greenshades really does have so much configurability with automating workflows that already exist within your organization, so that you can set up some of this automation that you would have already done on a day-to-day basis, but taken you, you know, hours of your day. Your software is now going to be able to handle that. So it's going to understand what your organizational workflow is. It manages it so that you can get to doing your job, to being with your employees, to helping them grow, to helping them learn, to solving the tasks that aren't managed by software, right? And some of those tasks are recruiting. So we partner with an organization called Jazz HR. It is a applicant tracking software. They do an excellent job at sourcing, document management, resume management, all of the nitty gritty that goes into getting new help, new hires. And they do an excellent job automating the workflow from getting a resume into getting someone into their first day worth of work. So we have a partnership with them. It is a direct product to product integration. So that information will flow from Jazz HR into Greenshades to really help our administrative staff solve some of those tedious transferring of documents, transferring of information, all of that can be automated so that you don't have to spend so much time on the administrative duties of onboarding. And then the other partner that I wanted to talk about was my HR council. They provide excellent compliance guidance for a lot of those, intricate questions that can come up on a day-to-day that you're not sure about in regards to, your tax filings, anything really that could come up from a legal perspective that you just need advice on. So instead of having to, reach out, try to figure out who can help, they're a exact source that you can trust on a day-to-day basis to help get those questions answered.
Awesome, great stuff. And actually, I think it's time for our poll question. So I know we're getting close to the to wrapping up the webinar, but you'll see on your screen. We'd love for you to answer this. What additional features are attractive to your organization? You can pick one or all. So pay card earned wage access, learning platform, integrated time clocks, an applicant tracking system, or legal on-demand guidance. We covered a lot of ground in each of those areas today. So take a minute and complete that, and we will close out the poll in about 30 seconds. And while we're waiting for that to close out, Katie, I love on the previous slide where you talked about getting help with the heavy lifting. And I think so much of what we do really helps the payroll and the HR folks. But if you kind of abstract that concept out into, just managers in different parts of the business, like I think about retail environments, managers spend a lot of time doing these administrative tasks and checking and verifying payroll and making sure it's accurate and the time reported and everything. If they can spend less time on those tasks and more time on the floor interacting with customers or interacting with their employees and kind of training them up in real time, there's actually a top line lift that can be found through that as well. So, really nice benefit across the board with those types of activities. So it looks like far and away the majority of folks, 71% are interested in integrated time clocks, which is awesome. Again, I encourage all of you to check out the Latham webinar that we just did last week. Followed second by learning platform. So that's great news that everyone's interested in helping their team to level up. And then pretty even split across the other three options. So great insight. Again, we can help you with any and all of those items. So make sure you reach out to us afterwards. We'll tell you in a minute how to do so. But just to close out the deck, again, if you take away anything from this discussion today, just remember that all of your traditional benefits that you're delivering are great. They're table stakes though, right? You have to do that to be competitive in the market. But through some of these unique things that we talked about today, and through using a platform like Greenshades, you can really extend interesting new different benefits and get more mileage out of your investment in your payroll platform by delivering some of these things. And again, it's all about how can we make an impact in the day-to-day lives of our employees so they can focus and be more engaged and understand that we're in their corner as employers, and that thinking outside the box that we just walked through today really helps you to do that. The foundational component of all of this, however, is having a platform that is accessible, that's efficient, that sweats the stress around compliance and all the complexities that pop up in today's world between someone working in a different state, someone living in a different state. What does that mean from a withholding standpoint? Greenshades got you covered on all that stuff. So it's a great foundation to start from. There's a lot of benefits in and of itself. And again, we hope we've been able to shine a light on some of the partners that we work with that can help you with some more advanced capabilities as well. We encourage you to come hit our website, greenshades.com. So all of this content and more is available there. Or if you have some specific needs, just get back to us. You can reach out to sales@greenshades.com and let us know, or more importantly, hit our website and you can go to request a meeting, and we'll make sure that one of our consultants gets with you and can address your questions specific to your business. We'd love to do it. Again, we did get some questions in, but in the interest of time, we're going to push those out, and we'll give you an alternate way to cover those Q&As. And if more pop up as you kind of consider the discussions that we just had, reach out to us. We're more than happy to talk you through and and help you get through some of these tough economic times. So with that, I think that brings us to a close. Katie, thank you so much. Great information you shared with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.